Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome into this fantastic Wednesday here on A Glitch in the Matrix, where we usually get a little glitchy. Today is no different. This is going to be awesome. I do have my good friend Brian Tseng here in the studio with me today, and we're going to be talking about something that is a hot topic right now. I was on the fence as to whether I even wanted to cover this one, okay, because knowing what we know that there's a lot of deception going on in the media and even in outer space or in inner space. And so today we're going to be talking about weapons of mass deception. And this is all in regard to the Katy Perry incident on Monday, where she and 5 other women went up into an unmanned, get it? An unmanned rocket spacecraft. And I don't know. I guess they became space travelers. I can't say they're astronauts. However, there's just a lot of anomalies to all of this. And of course, I had Brian here a few months ago. We were talking about the Challenger explosion. And you guys remember that back in the 1980s. We did a whole show on that one day, and how there's a possibility that all or some of those astronauts are actually alive today. And they didn't explode in that explosion or drown or whatever they said happened to them. So what's up with that, y'all? What's up with that? We're going to take a deep dive into this today. So you guys buckle up. This is a rabbit hole. Okay. And of course, if you're watching this right now, you're my audience. You guys are my people. We know there's a lot of falsehoods and things to deceive the masses that are going on, including the space programs. Okay. But they're probably covering up something that's way bigger, because we talk a lot about the secret space program. And I have several people that regularly come on my shows that are doing full disclosure, where we're all bringing this full disclosure to the table, including Brian Tseng with the Full Disclosure Now movement and his fantastic conference that he's got coming up in July. I will be a part of that. So y'all better come see us at that. All right, y'all. Well, if you'd like to get in touch with me or follow along with all my shows and see my social media sites and all that stuff, please go over to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all my shows there. Y'all know I have a podcast, right? Okay, so if y'all want to listen to me on podcast platforms, you can find that there as well. And please follow me on Spotify and all those different platforms. You can hear me over there. I try to upload all of my shows right after the live show is over each day or night. Okay. Also, I do have a Patreon if you guys would like to support my work, and I do have a shop over on Etsy. It's called War Woman Goods. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I do appreciate it so much. Okay, I did mention that Brian has a big conference coming up, and they keep adding more and more speakers to the lineup almost daily, and I'm on that roster as well. So please visit fulldisclosuremovement.org for tickets to that. And I do have a flyer. Before I bring Brian up, I'll show you guys. I got a fantastic flyer for this one. And so that is going to be coming up July the 15th through the 18th in St. Petersburg, Florida. And please come. I think it's the Serrata Beach Resort. That's a wonderful place to have a conference. We were there last year. And I hope to see all your beautiful faces out there. And I know a few of you have already told me you're coming. Okay, including Gus and Maureen. All right, so I can't wait to hang out with you guys and go to the beach. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, let's get to our show today. Okay. Because on Monday morning, pop star Katy Perry floated into space as part of his star-studded all-female Blue Origin mission. Alongside her were Lauren Sanchez, the fiancée of Blue Origin owner Jeff Bezos, journalist and TV presenter Gayle King. Oprah's bestie, civil rights activist Amanda Nguyen, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, former rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, and filmmaker Kerianne Flynn. They speculate, the spectacle, sorry, I can't see y'all. The spectacle of the entire star-studded mission was strange to say the least, and from the buildup to the liftoff to the, I think it was an 11-minute mission itself, the authenticity of the event is questionable. From the seemingly satanic mission patch and the phallic rocket, oh my gosh, to the list of celebrities involved, the general public has been buzzing with questions. Many believe the entire spectacle was fake and full of CGI edits. And on this episode, we have Brian Tseng here with the Full Disclosure Now movement. We're going to be talking about this all-female mission into space and the weapons of mass deception unleashed on the masses in pop culture and in our everyday lives. What are we ultimately being distracted from and why? It's become so apparent now. Please help me welcome to the show my good friend and astronaut, Brian Tseng. Hey, Brian. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, technical difficulty. Sorry, Houston. Okay,
it happens
no problem.
in space.
Yeah, it's off Amazon, so you get what you pay for.
You got that off Amazon. Uh-oh, Bezos should be a little bit more, quality control than that. I'm just saying.
Well, he sticks the Vril parasite right there as his kind of his swastika logo there. On all the boxes. That's apparently a Vril parasite. It also looks kind of phallic too, but it's if anyone knows about Donald Marshall and the Vril type 1, 2, and 3, that apparently if one was crawling along the ground from A to Z in this case,
Wow.
I'm sure there's a symbolism there that they love. Then you'll be familiar with that shape and symbol.
Well, I was always told that was a phallic symbol. Okay. And I just thought that was really interesting. I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it, but I thought, man, that's kind of weird. And then we've got these 6 women who, and listen, I want to start off by saying full disclosure. I worked for almost 20 years as the executive director of an estate agency for women. Okay. So I'm all about girl power. Okay, go women. Okay, and I worked most of my life in a real job, is if you want to call it like the real jobs, working for the betterment of women. Okay, and children in our society. Okay, that's what I do. That's what I did, and so I'm all about it. I'm excited for these women in that sense. Okay, but also these are celebrities who I'm not going to say they're questionable, but we know this whole Illuminati deal, right? And you and I talked a while back about the Challenger explosion. Okay, we're just going to get into the space versus the celebrities. I've talked about the Apollo 11 mission and the moon landing. That is something that I'm real careful about speaking on. I did get contacted and told to kind of watch what I say. It was I'm not going to call it a threat, but it was kind of like a gentle reminder. I need to be careful about what I was saying about remote viewing the moon and all that stuff. It's just a really touchy subject, Brian. When it comes to the general public.
Scary. That doesn't sound very friendly, Jessica.
Yeah, I know.
And in our community, there are kind of the known stalker, troll harassers. And some of them actually, unfortunately, they are real in that they probably were in various programs and were subjected to mind control. But now, in the here and now, they're being used sometimes via voice to skull, among other things, to attack those of us in the community who are coming forward and doing work such as ourselves.
Oh, yeah. I have definitely, you and I have been the target of some of the same people, too. Like one person in particular, I will not say their name. I don't even know their real name. But there's certain people, they do come in and, come after people like ourselves who are doing this full disclosure out here. And I'm not doing this to like go after people or whatever. I'm doing it because this is what I love to do. And it's just kind of a progression of, my cryptid research and stuff, I guess. Because we need to know the full disclosure. If we're being lied to about big things that affect, not that this affects our everyday lives, like so much. If like we didn't watch TV, we wouldn't even know about this probably, but as far as the collective consciousness go, it does affect us, right?
Well, there's a whole long history leading up to this publicity stunt, as let's we'll call it for what it is.
Mhm.
Whether these ladies went up in the capsule or not, I mean, I think it's technically totally feasible. I mean, like my one business partner, executive co-producer Jaden Mills just pointed out, Felix Baumgartner, Red Bull sent him up to in an astronaut suit to do a super high altitude skydiving jump, and so it's not that you can't load these ladies up on the tip of a rocket and launch them up. The point really at the end of the day is, who cares? I mean, given everything
Right.
that's really happening. And then from a full disclosure perspective, we've got craft that's been reverse engineered since the 40s and beforehand through the Germans. There's a huge history of that with their breakaway civilization and time travel, where, they've got craft that can zip from here to the moon in like half an hour, I'm told, and probably shorter. Might be the moon might be faster than that. It might be Jupiter's half an hour with the technology nowadays. But you've got the Tic Tac type white Tic Tacs, like transport vessels, apparently done by, I think, Boeing. And this was work probably done by EG&G back in the day with Robert Galloway. And this is all well known in the UFO lore. But then you've got the media publicity stunt aspect where, there's a false flag stuff like with the Challenger and all that. And who knows what went on? I mean, there's just so many weird anomalies there. And we did that whole show, as I said earlier, about that. But then you got Edward Bernays, this kind of like the father of marketing and manipulation, and using the media to basically take the public's attention, divert it in a certain way, generally away from things that we really should be paying attention to, and then controlling the narrative. And often they'll use crisis actors, like what really looks like it's in those photos right there. It's like, wait a second, you're the spitting image. Oh, and you have the same name, Judy Resnick. How odd.
They all have twins, Brian. Don't you know that?
They all have. That's
siblings.
right. Right. Sure they do. The McNair brothers, but I could maybe believe, but the two to the left of them, no. And Judy Resnick, no. I mean, because they have the same name. I say, so we're twins, but we named the twins the same name. That's interesting, Jessica.
Yeah, it's like they never thought that we would ever look into it, I guess. I mean, that's just how dumb I guess they think we are, I suppose. Or that we just have a very short attention span.
It's the attention span thing, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect that they believe that we are so dumb, we're such sheep and useless eaters, and that's what they call us. And it's in all their writings and recordings, that we wouldn't notice until it was too late. By the time people were able to wake up and see all this for what it really is, we'd all be locked up in concentration camps, and some of us, the select, would be getting taken down to deep underground military bases, and the rest of us would get all injected up with all sorts of goodies.
Oh yeah, it's tragic. It's really tragic. But as you said, good sheep. I actually this was on the side of this rocket. It said New Shepherd, and from some angles, when I was looking at some of the pictures, it said New Shep. It looked like sheep or Shep, New Shep, and I was like, man, you know what? That is just it's kind of like that subliminal messaging. It's like the new sheep, okay, or sheeple. That's what I was seeing when I saw that. I thought, man, that's of course they would put something like that on this rocket, on this phallic rocket, which, by the way, did remind me of Austin Powers. I don't know. We'll get there in just a second. I guess maybe we should back up a little bit and talk about who all was on this rocket, okay? And kind of give a little overview of what was going on here, because this is, some people were complaining. It's like, oh, in a time where people can't even afford to buy eggs, we've got all these billionaires and millionaires going up on a rocket, and for what they say, 11 minutes. 11. What an interesting number too, right? 11 is a master teacher number. I'm into gematria and astrology and into just angel numbers and stuff too. I see 1111 a lot and stuff like that. It's interesting they use that number, first of all. going up there and then coming back down. But anyways, they were saying, it was excessive, and it's, it's kind of a slap in the face of the common person. Okay. Because we're out here struggling, and they're up here wasting jet fuel or whatever they use for that, rocket fuel. And but nonetheless, okay. So somebody was asking in the chat who all was on board. Okay. And I got to say, when I saw these pictures of these women, this is what I saw in my mind, and I had to make an AI image of it. Okay. So that's the weapons of mass deception. But nonetheless, here's the crew, and they are looking really mighty fine right there with those crew outfits. And it says, so we had Katy Perry, okay, pop icon. There was also the fiancée of Jeff Bezos, who was Lauren Sanchez, is out there. Gayle King, who is Oprah's best friend. We had civil rights activist Amanda, I think her last name is Nguyen, if I pronounce that right, and former rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, and filmmaker Kerianne Flynn as well. So those are the ladies that were up there, and they had to make a pretty big spectacle out of all this for whatever reason. What I found interesting was that when they got into this rocket, on the ground, they had people like the Kardashian family. They had Khloe and the mother, Kris Kardashian or Kris Jenner. And they also had like Oprah was down there. Now, when I see Oprah, I don't get a good feeling anymore. Okay. Not at all.
No, what happened to all the Haitian kids from all those orphanages, and the Clinton Foundation with Laura Silsby, who was literally caught with a busload of 40 Haitian children after an earthquake down there, trying to smuggle them, supposedly, quote unquote, adopt them to parents across the border in the Dominican Republic, or who knows from there. And they were literally intercepted at the border. And it was either Bill or Hillary, but one of them literally had to go down to Haiti to get Laura Silsby out of there. But I can say Laura Silsby almost quote unquote now, because she has since changed her name. And according to the internet, last she was in charge of the Amber Alert system for a state or region somewhere back in the United States. And Amber Alert system is to track down, in part, missing children. What do you know? Just like Ashton Kutcher, he's associated with like foundations to assist in human trafficking to help fight it. But then he's running with P. Diddy in crowds who actually are caught for human trafficking. What do you know? And the more that this is being uncovered, the more maybe that justifies for them stupid stunts like this, putting their Illuminati, chess pieces at the king and queen level for them, in terms of their sock puppet Illuminati up front, to then go do stunts to harvest the louche and attention and emotional and psychic energy of the masses to get distracted by this rocket going up and down. It's like, I'm sure there's an inversion ritual there. And then you were talking about the logo earlier.
The patch. Inversion. Yes, that's the word. And well, one of the first things that I noticed was the patch that Katy Perry was wearing, because, I found it really interesting that they had professional photographs done. And it was like they put those out for the promotional part of the whole thing, the whole process. And they had these great pictures. First of all, they didn't have any video of the women taking off inside the rocket. There's no videos or pictures of them taking off. But once they got up into the air and they were floating around for a whole 1 minute or 2 minutes or however long that was, they had a lot of time to film and, and look pretty and all that kind of stuff. And then when they went back down, there was no video. Okay. But they had to be strapped down. I'm trying to figure out, like, what was the G-force like? You know what I mean? We see all these videos of, pilots training. And I don't even know if there had to have been some kind of gravitational force, going up that high. Of course, they didn't go outside of the, atmosphere, whatever. I guess they were just right there at the firmament, I guess you could say. I don't know. It depends. But anyways, it was, you see these pictures of these pilots, and I know I was going to talk about the logo, but real quick, I'll show this. The pilots who are hitting this G-force stuff, it's not pretty. Okay. And a lot of people pass out when this happens. Like I said, I don't know exactly how many G's they hit, if any, but your face will go from looking all nice and young and pretty to just like, you age like 30 years. okay, in a split second when you hit those G-forces. So maybe that's why they didn't have a camera up there. I don't know. Maybe that, or they had cameras. Maybe that's why they didn't air it. That's maybe what they're trying to go for there. I don't know. Maybe the plastic would have, gone around their face a little. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. Okay. But I'm just saying, the implants and whatever. But nonetheless, it was just kind of weird. But I did notice, going back to the whole patch, Katy Perry had on this patch on her suit, and there was a close-up of it. Let's see if I can find it. Well, here's her actually up in the air already. I don't know. The patch is right there. And I started noticing, well, let's examine what this patch is. Okay, because it actually looks like the rocket. It looks like women's faces, 6 women. Okay, which is interesting because 6 is one of those secret society numbers, 6, 6, and then another 6. It's got a little, it could have some, I don't always like to say it like 666 is satanic because it's not, but it can be. Okay. And for this case right here, for this logo, has all their names on it. It looks like a tip of a rocket ship. Okay. And in the rocket ship stars, and it says, actually part of that came off when I was trying to upload it. It says blue, what is that called? The blue origin got taken off by accident, y'all. But okay, so there's that. It looks pretty, okay. And then you turn it upside down, Brian. And now what do we have? It kind of looks like Baphomet, right? A little bit satanic, maybe even some flames coming up around his face and things like that with the horns. As a matter of fact, if you look at the Space Force logo, I forgot to upload that, but the Space Force logo, when you flip it upside down, it kind of looks like the Baphomet head too, with that rocket ship. So
I'd say though, with the Space Force logo, there's a little bit more of that Ad Astra to the stars, Star Trek aspects incorporated into it as well. Whereas this one, it's definitely more just of a straight up Baphomet with like horns like on either side in flames, and supposedly, I don't know if they're like silhouettes, but yeah, you're mentioning that the 666, it's used by the Luciferians because it's an inversion of a sacred geometry number, a master number, just like 111, 222, 333. In the case of the 6s, there's the carbon associations where it's got 6 protons, neutrons, and electrons, and the hexagonal structure, has a lot of meaning here in third density. And unfortunately, it's been inverted by the Luciferians. But as you pointed out, it's not to say that the 666 as a number is necessarily evil in and of itself. It's unfortunately been perverted by elements within our society who've been trying to control us and foist this crap on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, taking things that are pretty innocent and then turning it into something that's inverted, right? And opposite. Mirrored is a good word too, right? Kind of mirroring things upside down, inside out. Okay. And so this is no different. And usually if there is something that's kind of out there that they're putting out to the public, flip it upside down and just look at it. I mean, even those paintings like of King Charles's painting, right? You take something like that, and if you mirror it and you put it side by side, actually you can see like what looks like Baphomet in that painting. Okay, a lot of elites do that.
Ritual, and they're leash harvesting. They're trying to have a laugh in our faces, and then per their black magic occultism, for at least that sect, they believe that by putting it in our faces, they are telling us what they're doing. They're mitigating their karma, and they're also reinforcing our slavery and bondage to them, because not only did they do whatever nasty stuff they did to us, they let us know, per their rules, even though they put it in a movie or they said it with a laugh, quote unquote, to them, they said it, or if they hid it in a painting, even if you had to flip the painting upside down and invert it or whatever, and mirror the image, the segments, it's hidden in there, even if it end in our faces.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, Katy Perry doesn't make any secret kind of flaunting the one eye symbolism. Okay, the one eye, and for people who are not familiar, which you got to be living under a rock if you haven't seen this, y'all. I'm sorry, no shade. Okay, but this is all over pop culture and the media, especially in the music industry. And what do I always say, y'all? There's a fine line between a magician and a musician. That's what Caleb said in the chat one day, and that's very true. There's a fine line between a magician and a musician, and there are, like, I'm going to say, black magic rituals being done on the public potentially. This is for entertainment purposes only, by the way. But this rocket launch was not a NASA rocket launch. This was a private company owned by Jeff Bezos. Okay, what is it called? The Blue Origin, I guess. Blue Origin, and so. But NASA, of all people, they've had some astronauts that have had there's been some questionable NASA missions. And one of those involves Apollo 11. Okay. And this is one of their astronauts as well. And so when you start looking into all this stuff, I mean, Brian, you and I even talked about the satanic AI, and we went down to Antarctica on our show, just on the show, theoretically, figuratively. And we talked about Buzz and how he had put out a tweet and it said, it's evil, pure evil down there. Whatever he experienced was pure evil. Well, he's over here flashing the Illuminati eye symbolism with the 666.
And guess who Buzz Lightyear is based on?
Probably him, I would assume,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely, Buzz Aldrin.
A children's cartoon.
And then Disney and the Illuminati, and then it all kind of gloms back and self-references itself.
Man, well, and that was that was one of the first questionable, weapons of mass deception potentially. And this is for entertainment purposes only. I know I've said that already, but let's go ahead and say that one more time. And so, there's pictures of the crew from Apollo 11. That's very questionable about the entire filming of the moon landing. Let's just say the filming of the moon landing, because this is a touchy subject, okay, especially when it comes to the remote viewing of this. But this is a picture from the Apollo 11 moon landing, and there's a gentleman named Stanley Kubrick who did claim that he had filmed a mock-up of the Apollo 11 moon landing. And this is actually from a movie set. Now, of course, they've had movies based off this, and they say, well, this is just from another movie. It's not actually from that. But then it gets go down this little rabbit hole here. Here's Stanley Kubrick. This is when he was filming The Shining, which is a horror movie with Jack Nicholson in it. It's a really good movie. But one of the main characters, this little boy, he's wearing an Apollo 11 sweater. Okay, and I just think that, maybe it's just a breadcrumb, or maybe it's a coincidence. Brian, what do you think?
Oh, well, Kubrick was in on this scene because of how high he was. And, just his genius as a director in that Hollywood scene gave him access to a lot of things that most people weren't privy to. So my understanding is that when the Apollo 11 crew went to the moon, it's not that they didn't land or see anything. They encountered negative Draco reptilian craft that were very large, at least 5 or 6, as recounted by a whistleblower who then got it to William Tompkins, where people remote viewed it. But William Tompkins, who wrote the book Selected by Extraterrestrials, goes into this, and Dr. Michael Sala of exopolitics.com. But it looks like there were already negative reptilian bases on the moon. They didn't want humanity being on the moon. They basically told us to back off. Now NASA can't just say, oh, we did this huge mission to the moon, we publicized to the whole world, but we don't have any footage. So they brought in Stanley Kubrick to make the footage that he did. Then you get all these flat earthers who use that as evidence that space isn't real and the earth is flat. And no, that's all a Colonel Michael Aquino psyop he was of the Templars set in the Montauk Project, or Project Phoenix. And also he was a founder of the PSYOPs division for the U.S. military. And so he came up with the flat earth PSYOP in the 1970s, everybody. But in terms of geez, you had an image just up there, Jessica.
Which one?
Think about something. I forget. It might have been the previous one you just had.
Was it
Yeah.
this one?
So with this footage, they had to have bring Kubrick in, and not only was Kubrick privy to that, Nicole Kidman, who is his lead actress for Eyes Wide Shut, that film, apparently he had 26 minutes of, I believe, of footage in that film that was to be included in the theatrical release, that he was told by some so-called studio higher-ups or whoever that he had to remove, and he refused to remove it. And he died shortly thereafter. And then when the film was released, it was released without that 26 minutes, and apparently that 26 minutes of cut footage has never been seen publicly. Well, Nicole Kidman's father was Sir Anthony Kidman, and Sir Anthony Kidman was an Illuminati Kabbalist from Australia, and I believe also associated with a lot of MK Ultra down there, Luciferianism, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't involved with Pine Gap, which is the Montauk of Australia. Pine Gap military base in Australia.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, there's even a video that goes around, and it's people claim it's Stanley Kubrick admitting that he filmed the Apollo 11 moon landing.
I've seen that, and other people have debunked that. So apparently it's an actor who looks and sounds a lot like him.
Yeah.
But then they're using that to say, because that actor thing, we got you. See, we really did go to the moon, and Kubrick didn't fake anything. So that's a red herring within a red herring.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was kind of how they do these psyops, right? It's like they put it out there. They kind of put a little bit of something fake with the real. There's another moon landing. Let's just say, I think it was mission maybe Apollo 20, maybe I can't remember, but it was something that I had not remote viewed that landing, right, or their mission. I had remote viewed a long time ago for practice. A long time ago, let's just say years ago, the crashed ship that's on the dark side of the moon. There's like a 2-mile long, it looks like a crescent roll or something. It's like a big old, not a crescent roll, but like a bagel.
Yeah, the Mona Lisa up there of the moon.
I had remote viewed that. Well, okay, I do believe that's real. Okay, I've remote viewed it, and my teammates have remote viewed that. Now, they put out a video of some astronauts that were allegedly walking through the ship, and they had the woman, the Mona Lisa in there. Well, I can say that the Mona Lisa was not in my data. Okay. Doesn't mean she wasn't there. But that was not in my data. And I question to this day, I still question, like, well, was that video real? Was that just like something like they know this ship is real? Could that have some of that been fake? Do you know what I mean? Just to kind of throw everybody off to like put it out there. This is real. This ship is really there. But I don't know.
Let me use a real life example, Jessica, because that's a really great point about discernment, and like it's so easy to get confused. And then, we should even get into, well, when they did this, like, what are they really distracting us from? But in terms of the real life projects and red herrings, apparently a lot of people in our community are familiar with Project Serpo, which is what Close Encounters of the Third Kind is apparently based upon, where they leaked to Steven Spielberg that there was an ET exchange program with humans going on. And then a whole Serpo project kind of document got leaked out there, talking about 10 U.S. military personnel going over to this Serpo planet of grays that apparently is really hot, except for at the poles, and not very large, and blah, blah, blah. And they just went, and then they had some kind of crazy wild adventure, and human cloning was involved, and 2 died while there, and I think 1 or 2 stayed, and maybe 6 came back was the deal. And that's like, if you were to read this leaked document, you might take it as gospel because, it's supposedly a leaked document. But what I'm told nowadays is that yes, that Serpo project, Project Serpo ET human exchange program is real. However, that planet's a lot larger than they make out in the report. There's a lot more life there. The reason why is the exchange is we also want to see if humans can be up there and be on that planet. And so apparently the secret space programs may have involved a lot more than 10 military personnel since like the 1950s or 60s or whatever. And so, it's like here's a leaked document that's really got a lot of fake stuff in it, but then is based on a real project. And so maybe 30% of what was leaked is real. And then they have a lot of these wonky details in these documents to not only throw us off, but then also to track down who the leakers are. Because you can leak different false information to different people. And when you see, that version of the document got out, well, then we know, Agent Johnson is our guy that we have to send the Men in Black after.
Brian, we talked about that with the Teasel Princess. You remember that? That was the last time you came on the show, I think. We were talking about the Teasel Princess and how they were saying it was 900 million years old or 800 million years old. And it did come out as partly, some kind of it was supposed to be like a KGB operative or something had kind of leaked that out. And you made the brilliant point. That's a brilliant point, actually, that maybe they had been given some wrong information about maybe even the dates. And that's how they would know who would leak the information out. Because those gentlemen who found the body, most of them did pass. So I think they all passed away mysteriously. And I believe I remote viewed it. I do believe that was a real person who was found in some kind of stasis chamber. But I think there was a little fake news, as we call it, right? Fake news.
They'll mix it in together to throw people off enough. Kind of like a place like Mel's Hole. Does the military want the whole world trying to go to a place of high strangeness and anomaly, or do they want to control it and pretend it doesn't exist and, eliminate any threats to it, and in the meantime just keep people away and feed them weird information, and because they have so much money and resources and their their transhumanism timeline that they want to put us all on at stake, that they want to keep us in like the prepackaged Darwinian evolution. Are ETs real? We're the only life in the universe. Is the earth flat or not? When we're trapped in that kind of mental prison, we're not able to do or achieve very much. And really that's, banging on the drum of full disclosure.
Yeah, because we're chasing our tails. Okay, we're chasing our tails. And when it comes to like even online and like people like myself, I have a YouTube channel here. Okay. And I try to keep things interesting. That's why I didn't even want to cover this story, Brian. I really didn't, because we all know that, we are being deceived. But I just think that it's another little piece of the puzzle that is important that we do kind of cover it, just to include it. We're collecting data, we're connecting the dots. This is another little piece of the puzzle right here, and it's in full display for the entire world to see right now. It's more obvious than ever. I mean, maybe these things have always been obvious, but we just were asleep, like you said earlier. We're awake. Okay, we're awake now. A lot of us are awake, and I guess we're beating our drum too, like you said.
Well, the messages are there for us, for those of us who have eyes to see and ears to hear. You've got the Katy Perry videos there's a one where she's singing about being like an ET or being taken over or merged with an ET, and she's got like an ET version of her. You've got all the Egyptian symbolism, which to the Illuminati, that's like the cat's meow, because for them, the most powerful magic goes back to like Egypt and Babylon and Atlantis before that. And not so much Lemurian magic, because that was probably more positive than the Atlantean stuff that these folks are into, particularly involving sacrifice. And then you also have Katy Perry. Just all the connections with Russell Brand, who all this dirt's coming out about, and that's more limited hangout. Everyone's like, oh, poor Russell Brand. It's like, no, he's just been an Illuminati type figure like this, Coke versus Pepsi. Oh, I'm crying for, Pepsi, Russell Brand versus, Coke Katy Perry, when they split, I got to pick a side or something. And meanwhile, what they're really distracting us from is all the corruption being rooted out in the government, the FBI, CIA, USAID being cleaned out, Department of Energy, Department of Justice, Department of Education being totally just shut down and routed out. And then all the Epstein stuff behind the scenes. Like, really, that's what most of us want to hear about. No one, like, I don't remember anyone out there, and please feel free to chime in the comments, everyone, saying, you know, what we really want to see is Katy Perry go to the edge of space on a Jeff Bezos penis mobile.
I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat. Okay, let's actually, I know, right? It just it's really ridiculous. And honestly, like I said, I really wasn't planning on covering this, but then I'll be honest with you, I woke up this morning and I kind of it was in my head. I was like, this is important for us to talk about today for whatever reason. So I just went with it this morning for a show for everybody today. And my goodness, thank you, Brian, for being here for this with your astronaut helmet. Here's my question to you, Brian. Why would there be 6 women that go into space? Only one of them had NASA experience. Okay. And I love your suit. Okay. Why would none of them be carrying a helmet with them? Wouldn't you think that it'd be important that there was some sort of safety? I mean, my God, I used to race cars when I was a kid. Okay. I know it's not safe. I raced cars, open wheeled cars. And I had arm restraints that I had to put on, you know, that connected my hands to the car. I had a helmet, I had a neck brace, I had all this stuff, all this safety equipment. I had to wear a fireproof suit. And there was just a whole safety thing I had to go through. And that way, if your car, it's not if, but when your car flips over, your hands don't go flying out. You don't get your arm taken off. Okay.
Well, I have a plot twist. Well, I think you hit upon it, Jessica. Plot twist: Jeff Bezos loaded up his 6 favorite people in the world.
Yeah, I know, right? With no helmet.
And if it went boom, boom, up, no helmets, no fire retardant safety gear and all that, oxygen or whatever. And that's a really good insurance payout. I mean, think about the insurance payout on Lauren Sanchez alone. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jeez. You know, I'm sure the Illuminati were taking bets.
Maybe, probably so. Or did they even go up in the rocket at all? That's one of the main questions. Is you know, if the people in the Challenger are still alive today, I've actually seen a video. I couldn't find the clip of it, but I've got a video that I watched online at some point, and they were showing how the astronauts, instead of going up into the rocket, when it looks like they're going into the rocket to go blast off into space, they actually have a little trap door they go down, and they have a waiting area that they sit in. Okay. And I don't know where I saw that. It was somewhere online. I thought, man, maybe that's what happened with these women as well. There was a little bit of CGI going on here, I believe, with the videos that they were showing us. This is the Blue Origin, y'all. Okay. This is one of their rockets that does look quite phallic, if you ask me.
Guys, the comments are killing me, Jessica.
This is it on the radar. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
People are pointing out it's uncircumcised. That might have been Tyler from Journey to Truth. If we're outing his handle there, Journey to Truth Seeker. He's wondering if it was vibrating with the women inside. God. I'm sure it was because the ladies were laughing and screaming so hysterically. So probably. Brandon's talking about the Transformers movie. Wonder why? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was probably best that I wasn't looking at all these comments. They are funny. They are funny. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm not going to pull these up, y'all. It's bad enough that I'm over here laughing. Okay. And Brian, we're just, there was, that is odd, Brian. I'm just saying, it just looks funny. And so here's this. Okay. This is it taken off. And let me tell you exactly what was going to happen. So, So here it is. They all got in this little capsule at the top of this rocket, and they flew past Bezos's own Blue Origin New Shepard NS-31 ship. It soared past the Kármán line, I think is how you pronounce that, the internationally recognized boundary of space. They spent 3 minutes in pure weightlessness. Here's a picture right here with no helmets on. No, they had chairs. They had to have been restrained going up there. But for 3 minutes, this was an 11-minute ordeal. That's it, 11 minutes. For 3 minutes, they were in pure weightlessness before the craft safely parachuted back down and landed in Texas. The footage captured the space shuttle making a soft landing back to Earth on the historic mission. Now, actually, Brian, when I watched this, it did not look that soft. Okay, when it landed, it would have rattled everybody's teeth pretty bad. Okay, and it hit pretty hard, and I was thinking, man, that was kind of weird. It's supposed to be a pressurized container, right? Like pressurized, and it's supposed to be like hard to open the door. I mean, I would think that it would take some kind of special equipment to get that door open, right?
Well, that part is strange. People pointing out that, I don't know, for some reason they're not able to open the door from the inside, or there's a video looks wonky where it's kind of like they open it from the inside and the people from the outside are like, wait, you weren't supposed to do that. And then they let one gal out and they reshut it, and then more gals come out, and so that part's pretty cringe. I mean, honestly, to send them up to the edge of space for an 11-minute total flight, that's not technically that hard. It's not like they're getting into orbit and they need all these, like, an extra stage of boost and all that, which would probably make it a way more dangerous flight. It's more like, think about strapping, to Jeff Bezos 6 people that he maybe cares more or less about on the top of a rocket, shoots them up, like you might stick a bunch of ants in a container and strap it to like an Estes model rocket, shoot it up to the edge of space and watch it parachute down. Technically it's like, could they do it? Yes. I mean, with his Blue Voyager stuff, sure. Either way, whether it was real or fake, quote unquote, it's definitely captured a lot of attention and screen time. I mean, look, it's got us, but we're having a hoot doing it, and we're going to need to talk about the real stuff going on and point out the Illuminati, the shenanigans, how their modus operandi, and all that. So it's okay in our case. Like we're putting it to good use, and so are all of you out there. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Yes. Please. I think it's kind of fun for us to talk about this today, and plus the fact that you have on your helmet where these women had no helmets at all. What a wonderful reminder that safety comes first.
I'm safe. I'm practicing safe YouTubing right now, everybody.
Yeah, you are. You're in the pilot seat. Okay, we're co-pilots today, and I tell you what, I would like to see the video, because there's a video, if they were really going up there in that rocket, of them taking off into space. You could hear them screaming. They had audio of them screaming and laughing, and
they show all the cameras in the capsule that are like mounted all over. They've got a 360 view there, so it's not like Katy didn't sneak a camera phone on. I mean, come on.
No, and their hair looks cool. Their makeup is perfect, and it just doesn't seem typical of what you would think. People going up into, I'm not saying they were like totally in space, but like going up there and coming back down.
I put my makeup on before going on an 11-minute ride to space, getting all the paparazzi maybe. So come on.
I know people that put on makeup to take the trash out to the front yard. Okay, up to the street. So, okay. I mean, I put on war paint every time I go live on my shows. Okay, so I mean, I'm not gonna get caught without my makeup on before I go live. But I don't know. It's just more stuff to kind of wonder and ponder about. So let's go back to this door real quick, because the door, to be in a pressurized cabin, the door would probably have to open from the outside, and this door opened from the inside, and it opened before Jeff Bezos got to it. By the way, he face planted by the door at some point. As soon as the thing landed, he was walking around it and tripped and face planted, and there's a video of it.
Maybe he was doing a mock-up of Katy Perry kissing the ground, where he just wanted to help the photographer get the light metering proper.
Exactly. He ate dirt though, for real. Unfortunately, but yeah, he walks up to this thing, and somebody had already opened the door, so it did seem as though they were like, no, close the door. It was odd. It opened from the inside, and then he walks up and acts like he's got his little wrench thing, and he's trying to open it because it's a special wrench that opens that door. Only the special wrench can open it. Even though
it's an unmanned flight, but you still need a guy to open the door for you, ladies.
Exactly.
Or do you?
Girl, I know, right? It's crazy. But Katy came out and she kissed the ground. I think just about all the women kissed the ground. No, she just kissed the ground because she liked it. She liked the taste of its cherry chapstick. Okay, sorry. She kissed a girl and she liked, that's one of her songs. Okay, yes, she kissed the ground and she liked it. It's one of her. I just changed her song a little bit there. But all the while we had Oprah was biting her nails. Oh my gosh, when the camera would go to
Oh my
her, she would
gosh.
freak
Oh
out.
my.
Yes.
Wow. Here.
So
You have to
yes.
zoom back to me, Jessica.
Oh gosh. And it was funny because if you watch the videos of her, she kind of is like she doesn't have a care in the world until the camera goes to her face and she's like, oh gosh, oh my gosh, Gayle,
Yeah.
It's yeah, oh Gayle.
Katy.
So, Katy. Oh yeah. But they ended up being fine. Okay. They were not rattled one bit after that hard landing. They said soft landing, but I saw the video. It was not a soft landing. If that was a real landing and that really happened, it seemed kind of rough. Okay. But they seemed fine. I'd be kissing the ground too, I guess, if I were her coming out of there. But yeah, it's all to me, it just felt very contrived. It didn't seem real. Because when I was going back and I was watching a bunch of videos of this from different angles. There weren't that many angles actually. They were very careful not to give it too many angles. They didn't want everybody taking pictures of it.
Just like, wasn't there, what was the other one that they did the similar thing? Was it a SpaceX launch? And people were like, it looks so fake. And
yes,
I don't know anymore, people. I just,
I know, right? I was seeing videos where it actually looked as though there was CGI, or some people were saying that like there were strings pulling the rocket up. Okay. I don't know. In this day and age, with all this technology, I don't know if they would do like a model and like pull it up like that. It seems very primitive.
Remember the Indian government's launch to the moon or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like Atari graphics, and then then maybe they really did have a probe going, and they were just showing like the mock-up that they had their video graphics doing, and so they were cheering to a video mock-up of a landing that really did happen. Or I don't know. I mean, because to me, knowing from the full disclosure standpoint of all the whistleblowers and people in our community talking about the technology that's really available to these governments, oh my gosh, could they get into like low Earth orbit? Like that's easy. I mean, that's child's play. I mean, I guess the hard part is that they insist on doing it with a steampunk method of solid rocket boosters or liquid oxygen versus anti-gravity and clean energy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It just seems like people were complaining that it seemed like a waste to even do this to begin with, as far as sending all these women up, and it was just a big old publicity stunt, which it was. But what is it distracting us from, and what is all the symbolism in it? Because they're trying to send out a subliminal message apparently to a lot of us, and so I found it interesting that they really were focusing on this was Katy Perry's flight, and there were other women that went with her. Okay, I did notice that a lot. Something that I noticed I thought was really odd. She held up a daisy. Okay, now this is my thought on this. I have not heard anybody else bring this up whatsoever. This is just my thought. I'll show this picture of her holding the daisy. Now, I don't know if her daughter's name is Daisy. Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't even know if she has a daughter. Okay, but somewhere I think I've read that somewhere. But when I saw that, I started thinking of this I think it was 64. There was a commercial by Lyndon B. Johnson, and it was a little girl plucking the petals off of a daisy.
The infamous Daisy commercial that cost him that election, probably.
Yes. And for people who aren't familiar with this, there's a little girl, she's picking the flowers off a daisy. I think she looks up and they're like, it was kind of a fear-mongering.
They had a countdown.
Commercial. It did. And there was an atomic bomb
10,
or nuclear bomb that went off.
9, 8. And then when they hit 0, from 1 to 0, they like zoom in on her eye. And then there's like a nuclear explosion. It's like, you want this guy, we're going to have nuclear war.
Exactly. And so they actually took that commercial down that day because it caused such an uproar, and people were complaining, and they're like, you're just fear mongering, and you're going to take the world. You're insinuating that the world's going to, explode in a nuclear bomb and all this kind of stuff. And so LBJ, and you got to think about like what is the political climate right now like as far as like disclosures going, Brian? And we've got the JFK files coming out and all that kind of stuff. And LBJ was implicated, right? And some of that, most of it.
800,000 pages of unredacted files have now been released for everyone to scan and apply AI to, because who wants to read through 800,000 files of bad handwriting, or some of it's good handwriting, but it's still old and blotchy. But it confirms a lot of what many of us already know out here in conspiracy realist land, but also many people like John Whitberg point out that it doesn't even get into the real secret space program ramifications. None of those files will probably talk about secret space programs, and Kennedy was hip to a lot of that. Arkeem Ra testifies that he was on a time travel, at least one bodyguard mission for JFK, and remembers being in the Oval Office with him in at least one timeline, if not this one, smoking cigars, drinking like whiskey or bourbon or champagne on ice, and reading Marvel comic books and laughing at the inside jokes because there's a lot of disclosure in the Marvel stuff, and they also kind of like add some play stuff and jokes and to make it even more confusing. But they took him out because not just the Federal Reserve and the Bay of Pigs fiasco and rooting out the CIA and corruption here on planet Earth, but he may have been talking about revealing the ET reality, which would have then taken the lid off of the secret space programs.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there may be no connection to that commercial with that little girl and the daisy, but that was my first thought when I saw that was that commercial. And so I looked it up. I went to DuckDuckGo, okay, and I did a little search, and I looked up the little girl with the daisy and the bomb, okay, and I've actually got it right here. Let me just pull it up. Is that advertisement? That I think there's a connection, Brian. I just do, and that's just my opinion on that. And so, if everybody in the audience, y'all have at it, okay, and see, there maybe it was also like implicating. I think it was like the LBJ thing, and then the Kennedy stuff. I just don't know what the connections are exactly. I mean, if there's a connection, I mean, you explained it, what the connections could be, but I'm saying like, as far as that daisy goes, that she's holding in this.
I'm wondering if she did the one eye sign with it at least once. I'm sure she couldn't have resisted for the cameras. And then, the image that you generated of them all looking kind of like Arcturians or gray types, in that one graphic, it makes me think of the Mountain Dew commercial. There's at least one Mountain Dew commercial where there's a whole bunch of ETs, and they're all like chilling together. People in the audience are probably familiar with it. Feel free to stick the link in there in the comments. But yeah, there's disclosure, there's distraction, there's controlling the narrative, there's putting it in our faces per black magic ritual. There's the loosh harvesting, and then there's the photo op, obviously, for 6 very vain people together with a very vain and wealthy guy, Jeff Bezos, who, he'd rather rake in the dough and put in as many robots as he can and pay as little money as possible to his workers when he has so much. And to me, that's truly despicable. Now, if he paid people a decent wage, given how much he has, because it really wouldn't make him hungry if he paid people better, you can totally afford to do that. And then he sent people up to space. Maybe I personally would be less critical. But the fact that he treats so many people like garbage, and then he sends these 6 women all made up to the edge of space in his big small penis rocket, Elon's is bigger, everyone, ha. Then then I don't care. I don't care about him or Elon. Yeah. To the extent Elon's doing good work, I'll support that. But all the other stuff,
Well, you used to work for Tesla, right?
Yeah, briefly for 2 years. And then the Solar City, who was a sister company before them for like a year.
Oh,
And I
awesome.
got to see Elon at the Folsom, California factory briefly during one of the end of quarter delivery rushes where we're all there trying to deliver the cars to the customers to help keep the stock price high enough, whatever. And
Mhm.
I got to see him briefly for like a moment. It was like him talking to like a team of people trying to work out distribution stuff. And he looked up and I kind of made eye contact with him really briefly. I saw a mixture of intensity and fear. And then on my way out, when I left Tesla, I wrote an email that I carbon copied to him and two of the other executives for Tesla as my exit letter, letting them know why I was leaving Tesla and my disgruntlements as a salesperson for them and how they could do it better. And within 45 minutes of that email, my showroom boss, Ryan, got an email from his executive team, asking what it would take for me to stay. And when I responded, they responded no to what I wanted. And that was pretty much that. But, I wasn't happy with Elon then. I'm happier with him now for the most part, but there's a lot of dirt that I have, from Arkeem and others. He's testified to seeing Elon and his mother, May Musk, at potentially, just for entertainment purposes only, by the way,
Always. Yes.
always just as he has
Right.
recall of them at the Mothers of Darkness Castle during a human hunting party, snacking on a human hors d'oeuvre off of like a little, of a small person who'd been baked or whatever. They have pictures of this at like a Rothschild Illuminati party of a roast like that. And my take is that Elon's bloodline, he is brought up in the system, but for what I'm told of all of them, he's like by far the best way to go. And he's walking a fine line, and then he might have his own foibles and things that we would disagree with him on. But for the most part, to the extent he's working with the white hats and minds his P's and Q's, I'm fine with him. If he steps over the line, then I think he shouldn't have any immunity. No one
Mhm.
should.
Yeah. Not when it comes against, um, when it comes with like crimes against humanity. That's what I was trying to spit out there. Crimes against humanity. There's no excuse for that. And and so I agree with that. This is for entertainment purposes only, y'all. And okay, well, so one of the last things I want to talk about today before we go is they made it a point to mention what Katy Perry was singing in the rocket as well. And so this is I don't know what the meaning is of all this, okay, but it was revealed that Perry sang "What a Wonderful World" in space. And she said it was the highest of the highs up there, the highest of the highs. And she's saying, I mean, I'm trying to figure out like when did she? I guess in that 3 minutes they were up there, she just thought to start singing "What a Wonderful World" and
I
record on
see trees of green, skies of blue.
it. Yeah,
It's like
Louis
that.
Armstrong. It is. You're right.
I
Can you
mean, like,
imagine
did
her
you
Louis
sing it in
Armstrong
like
voice?
Louis Armstrong, Oscar the Grouch voice, or
Oscar the Grouch voice.
no? She did the Katy Perry cover, and she kind of
She
popified
did.
it a bit. Oh, thank you, Maureen, so much.
Thank
By
you,
the way,
Maureen. So that's so sweet of you. And Jojo Awaken, thank you for becoming a member of the Hunt Club. I saw that too. Thank you.
give
Thank you,
her love to
Maureen.
Gus.
She says, awesome show today. It's a blast. Thank you.
Gus
And
is
we
coming to our conference this year in
he
July. By
is.
yeah,
He
so
is.
he'll
They're
get
gonna
to
be
meet
there.
Winnie the Wonder Dog.
Oh, that's going to be so fun. I can't wait. I can't wait. Maybe we'll have to get a soundtrack of Katy Perry's new album because it'll probably be out by then
Maybe not, Jessica. Maybe not.
for the conference.
I'll put my helmet
Yeah.
on with earplugs.
Yeah. And I
Oh,
was kidding. I'm totally kidding. That's the last thing I want to hear, honestly. There's probably a lot of subliminals in that music too that we probably don't want to, listen to. But
yeah, I didn't
yeah,
even show you. This is a sneak preview for the conference, just to have a little bit of fun. This
I
is my
love your,
DevTech bullet resistant helmet.
I
Yeah.
love that. I would have thought those women would have had on a helmet kind of like that going into space. I guess they didn't want to mess their hair up. We
No,
got to get the
these
priorities
helmets,
straight.
they're heavy and clunky, and if you're getting whipped around a bit, that's probably extra neck tension. Um, you know, yeah, yeah. They probably figured if anything went that bad, a helmet wouldn't help too much anyway. And so why ruin the photo op in their hair? Because you don't want to ruin their hair.
Lip gloss, hair, makeup, all that. I mean, I don't know. Well, we saw these pictures of all these astronauts in space, and their hair looks like, there's a lot of controversy that comes to like, well, were these people really in space? Do they have some aqua net in their hair to make it stand up? My feeling, this is my gut feeling, is that some of that video of them in space might have been pre-recorded. That's what I think.
They wouldn't do that.
I'm just going to put it out there. That's my opinion, and it's for entertainment purposes only. It felt like it was pre-recorded.
Because if it blew up, then they could have run a totally different line.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's hard to say. I mean, yeah, we don't trust these people. Who knows? I mean, that could be the ritual right there. Like they do one thing and then they show us another, and then we get locked onto what they showed us. And that's a great loosh harvest distraction.
Yes, loosh. That's a good point. The loosh is a big thing that we talk about quite a bit here too on the channel, because there's all these rituals going on, and ultimately it is not only for control of the information and the attention of us. I mean, what is the most important asset that we have as humans? I believe it's our energy. Okay, and where our attention goes, energy flows, and if we are all checking this out and worried about what Katy Perry's doing and her kissing the ground. And I know we're sitting here perpetuating it by having this show today. Okay. But we're also tearing it apart.
Yeah, let's tear it apart. Tear it apart, stomp on it, pour some lighter fluid on it, light it
for entertainment purposes. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we said enough that the other side doesn't want us talking at this level about their little ritual. So it's good to undo the ritual with a little illumination.
Yes, we are unbinding with the ritual or whatever they've done. Okay, that's what we're doing. Y'all share this video out, please, and let's counteract what the media is putting out there for entertainment purposes only. I think this is great. This is just important for us to talk about, I guess. And so, Brian, thank you so much for being here today. I have really enjoyed this. I really have.
Thank you.
And, of course, and please tell us. Let's talk about the conference now, because I'm going to have to go pick up my son, who will be at the conference with me, by the way.
We have three. Well, we have 3 more minutes, Jessica.
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen real quickly. And so we're going to be launching our own platform. Okay. So first, everyone, please go over to fulldisclosure.live and leave your information. And then once you do, it'll take you to a website for the conference. And this will also make sure you have updates on the online platform we're going to be launching, the Full Disclosure Network, with AI and Web3 and involving everyone in the community. And then we're also going to launch an associated Full Disclosure Movement cryptocurrency. And that's so that we can fund the movement, because everybody of us, whistleblowers and testifiers, people advancing the evolution, spiritual development of humanity, should be fully bankrolled so that we can go to all these conferences we want in style, first class. This one is at the lovely Serrata Beach Resort this July the 15th, going from Tuesday, July 15th, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the 18th. Okay, so it's 4 days and nights of amazing conference with a huge speaker lineup. But then, wait, there's more. We have a sister event, free beach weekend, Day of Being 5.0 in their 5th year, hosted by our really great friends, Zachary and Sue Fisher at nearby Indian Shores. So what a lot of people are doing is they're going to attend our conference for the 4 days and nights, staying at the Serrata Beach Resort. A lot of people are buying special event dinners to eat dinner with the various presenters each of the 4 nights, culminating in our costume party, where the winners of that win free admission to next year's 2026 event. And we're going to have workshops with Jenny Lee, a psychic seer, many vendors and healers. With Jenny Lee, she'll put people in touch during a workshop with past loved ones and pets. And I've had my own father come through since he passed from the jabs 2 Novembers ago. And that's been amazing, not through Jenny, but with other people. But it's just a huge thing for me to know. And I got to have a conversation with him on the other side that I knew I could only have after he was, away from here. But yeah, we've got amazing lineup. We're even adding more than who's here on our website right now. We got Jean-Charles Moyen, a super French super soldier. We've got Tone Millard, Laura Eisenhower now. Soma Ara, the Palladian channeler, is coming over from Ireland to be here and to channel with us some of our Palladian friends. Yeah, so that's all to be found at fulldisclosuremovement.org. And please share that around. Help me get tickets and people in the seats to see amazing folks like Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress. Then Jessica, you're going to be some of our people like Mike Forrest. They're bringing some of these Wayhalo stones, these ET inspired artifacts that I know Aisha Ars Lieb and Sean Bond of the psionicleague.com. They psychically, telepathically connect with beings attached to these. And that's after doing a lot of cleansing work on some of them, by the way. But I think it would be amazing to see if you did any remote viewing or clairvoyant viewing or tried to connect with them.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what you got back, if anything.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, for sure. I can't wait. We had a wonderful time last year at this conference. Great turnout. And it's wonderful getting to meet other disclosure advocates and people who are out there doing this boots on the ground work and just wanting to put the truth out there to the public, especially as we know it. Okay. And what we experience. It's just a great way to get activated. Okay. And if you come to these conferences, you do receive activations. Okay. And we are all there to activate each other on a spiritual level. Okay. And energetic level as well. So please, you guys, if you can, come down and hang out with us in Florida this July 15th through the 18th. And it's going to be a great time, and you will learn a lot. I learned a lot last year, Brian, and enjoyed getting to hang out with you and your family. And this year you'll have the baby there. You guys were about to have your baby last year, right? Or did you already had Crystal back then? I can't remember.
We're having technical difficulties, but the other side's only getting in our way at the very end of the transmission. There you go. Hope you're back.
Okay. All right, y'all. Well, everybody have a wonderful day. Brian, thank you so much. Let's see, what kind of problem do we have here? I don't know. You guys have a wonderful day. I want to thank you, Brian, so much for being here today. Y'all, please do your research. Look into that Daisy commercial, y'all. Okay. Let's look into the Daisy commercial and find out. Don't get too wrapped up in this stuff though. Okay. Let's don't get too wrapped up in this. See the psyops when they happen and just move on. Okay. And know that we see right through it. Right, Brian? And we're going, yes, we're tired of it.
We're tired of it. It's so bad. It's comical.
It's so bad. I know. Right. But we're here to tear it apart today and kind of have a good laugh. And there's Matthew Mornian in the chat as well. And so what's up, Matthew? He'll be at the conference as well, you guys.
He's coming in his all his costumes. He's bringing all his wonderful cosplay finery.
Yes.
So yes, we're very much looking to that. I'm looking forward to what Maureen's going to dress Gus up in as well.
Probably a little Mothman, I bet. I don't know. We'll
a little Mothman, yes.
A little miniature Mothman. Or a little T-Rex or something. That'd be cute too. Okay. Yes, but yes, I see Rose says it's an ages-old info war. Okay. And that's right. It's an information war. And we're on the front lines over here. And we are bringing you our opinions on it. And it's for entertainment purposes only, y'all. And everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here today. And again, Maureen, thank you so much for that super sticker. And JoJo Awaken, congratulations. And thank you for becoming a member of the Hunt Club today. You're the best. I appreciate all your support, y'all. Come back and see me tomorrow night. I will have a fantastic remote viewing show for you guys. And I promise it will not disappoint. We rarely disappoint over here. All right. Okay, Brian. Y'all have a great day. And I'm trying to find my buttons. My buttons are sticking. Okay. I will see you guys. Don't live in fear, y'all. Live in awareness. All right, Brian. Thank you for being here. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, y'all.